Hey, what do you say? Happy Monday, Tuesday, whatever day you're watching. Dan Day, Nick Day. It's real day when you're watching the wrap-up. That's right, folks. Dan Myers, Nick Buckler. Sad news to start the show. A couple tragic deaths over the weekend in the world of sports. As the great Doc Emmerich said, after the death of Jose Fernandez and Arnold Palmer, I hope we can just waffle board Sunday away, just like he says on many of his NBC broadcasts. Jose Fernandez, pitcher for the Miami Marlins, obviously dead on Sunday morning, about 3:30 in the morning after his boat was cruising and hit some rocks. All three members on board were killed in that. 24 years old, and his fiance expecting a child.
So that's the last Instagram post, wasn't it?
Two Instagram posts ago, but yeah, one of his latest ones. So sad news there. And then later that evening, Arnold Palmer, the king, no longer with us, 87 years old, just celebrated a birthday. So a couple greats lost, and obviously rest in peace to Harambe. Inside job, we know for sure. Gone but never forgotten.
Correct.
We're going to pour some out a lot today for the homies throughout the show. And some more deaths. Rest in peace to that Notre Dame football dynasty. 1-3 now on the year after their home loss to Duke. Dan loved every second of that. They lose 38-35. Now 1-3 on the year, and they fired their defensive coordinator on Sunday. Didn't waste any time. Rest in peace to the Lions season as well. Gone before it ever began. And also rest in peace to the Tigers' postseason hopes. Now a game and a half out of the wild card as we enter the final week of the season. Dan, we're going to start the show, however, with a comedy segment. That's right, your Detroit Lions football. Rest in peace. We gave them a shout-out, R.I.P. Dan, they go into Lambeau, and news for all the optimists, or as I call idiots, that call the Lions their team, which I'm one of them, but I'm not optimistic. I'm realistic. And they go, they're going to go into Lambeau. They're going to win. Aaron Rodgers has been nothing. Look at all the injuries to Green Bay. This is our time. And before you know it, they're down 31-3 at half.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. But you have to expect that. I mean, they weren't that strong of a team to begin with. We were injury ridden. And it's Lambeau Field. What was it? Last year, the first time you won in Lambeau Field?
Since 91.
Since 91. So to be that excited to think it's going to happen, no. Just put out a good product. Throw out a good game. And
they put out a good half.
A good half. That was about it, though. You got to feel for some of the diehards that do make the pilgrimage to Lambeau Field.
Those are just morons.
Yeah, they have way too much money to spend.
The thing about Lions fans, though, is they don't have money to spend. You see them with their ripped, like Herman Moore fake jersey from China that they're wearing. Starter. Yeah, and it's like 8 sizes too small. Like before they started drinking alcohol, and now they've just got the beer gut, and it's like stretched, and the lion is now all stretched out. You can't even see what it says. And
My daddy gave me this jersey.
It's just really sad. And those guys are there, and they spend, instead of putting money into like their kids' college fund or something, we gone to Lambeau, we gonna see history. Oh, good. And guess what? Your kid's future is also going to be history. Gone before it ever started, just like the Lions season. Dan, continue. Sorry.
No, that's really that's all you really could say. I was bouncing back and forth. Multiple things to do Sunday during the day.
I heard you went to a sausage fest.
Yes, I did. Shout out to the St. Anne's fam out there. It was good seeing a lot of you out there. It was a good time. But there's a lot
of the viewers were there.
Yeah, we got some viewers there.
All right.
So shout out to the sausage fest. St. Anne's playing.
Our viewers hang out at Sausage Fest.
Yeah, well, the Sausage Fest, though.
The one?
Yeah, that is the.
I heard Boy George was entertaining there.
No, man. Isn't he dead?
Continue, please.
Okay. Anyways, but I wasn't really going to invest too much time in watching the game. I think we all sort of knew the outcome before it even started.
Not all of us.
I did catch up to the first half, and I'm like, all right, well, this is good. I'm being constructive and not sitting and watching the game. But, they did sort of make some sort of a comeback. So if you didn't even see any of the game, it sort of looked like it was a lot closer than it really was. But unfortunately, it's embarrassment, but it is Green Bay. They are a strong team. You do have the arm in Aaron Rodgers and their defense, but yeah, I wasn't going to waste my time with it. And this game, I wasn't surprised. Last week, I was surprised that it was as bad as it was, but
I got great comments coming up for the people who thought that they were going to win. man, they're without Clay Matthews, no Sam Shields. They're missing a lot of guys there. Aaron Rodgers hasn't been good yet this year. He's only thrown 1 touchdown in each of the games. Jordy Nelson really hasn't been that good. Randall Cobb's been atrocious. And now, although they lose, they're like, oh, well, Eric Ebron wasn't 100%. We weren't playing with Levy. Ziggy Ansah was out. Abdullah's out for the year. You knew all that before the game.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, those are your, and the refs make up rules all the time, like hitting a guy out of bounds, it's not playing, and they just make up the rules. No, it's called undisciplined. It's called your team's a bunch of bone thugs. Don't forget about
With
the
no
harmony.
harmony.
No harmony. None. They're forgotten. All right? So get it through your brain. You're going to Soldier Field this weekend, and you're probably going to lose. The Bears will go 1-15. Their only win will be against the Lions. They got Brian Hoyer at quarterback. Alshon's been struggling. Jeremy Langford, Michigan State, struggling. So my prediction last week after their loss to Tennessee, I changed from, I think I said 8-8 at the beginning of the year, to 3-13. I'm sticking with my guns saying 3-13 because they just know how to lose. They can come back and every game will be close. The Lions covered the spread. They were getting 8 points. They ended up losing by 7, so they won by 1. And, in the pools that we have, not this one with you necessarily, because we don't do pro, but I'm in another one, and I took that game. One of my 5 picks, I took Detroit +8, and they ended up getting me that win. However, they lost. So in first place, but beep, beep, tooting my own horn. Shall we move on from Lions?
Let's do it.
Let's
Please.
talk about more comedy.
No, there we go.
Mind you, though, before, the Tigers are the comedy show
headliners.
on the bait. Yeah, oh yeah. The Lions just get the crowd all pumped up. Like, yeah, oh. And then, you're winning a game 4-2 with 2 outs in the 9th and 2 strikes on the hitter. And you lose, they score 5 runs. And you're like, round of applause. This comedy show just gets better and better. Just when you thought you've seen it all. And this is great, all the people that are like, why is K-Rod still on the team? He's been bad all year. He's 3rd in the American League in saves, and he's blown less saves than 80% of the closers in Major League Baseball. He's been the most consistent guy you've had on your team since, Aurelio Lopez? Was he a closer? I don't even know. Before my time. Sorry to viewers who say, whoa, this guy's young. Dan says that regularly. Who was the closer of the 84 time? Was it Aurelio Lopez or was it Senor Smoke? Hernandez?
I wasn't
Really?
alive.
There you
go.
go.
So I was just
tossing you that one up.
Yeah,
for
thanks.
you,
Appreciate it. Much
No,
love.
but I think it was one of those, I don't know. I should know that because I call myself a Detroit sports fan. However, that was your last good closer. Todd Jones, the roller coaster, was not good. I'm sorry. He may have set records. If you can't throw a fastball harder than 85, you're not an elite closer. Fernando Rodney, he wasn't good when he was here. He was good after he was here. Jason Grilli was never a closer here. And he goes and makes an all-star team. Guy's a toad, by the way. And I mean, we've had a list. We got Matt Anderson in the 90s. I mean, it's just bad. Troy Percival, I think we had him after his 8th Tommy John surgery. But now, K-Rod, he is 3rd all-time in saves now. And he's got you 45 on the year. I don't know what more you want. Papa Grande goes 49 for 49 in a year, and everyone hates him. I mean, this fan base here in Detroit, there's the 3 most hated positions in Detroit sports, Dan, that I'm thinking of. Do you know them?
I got to go with probably relief pitchers in baseball.
Whoa.
The goalie.
Closer.
Closer.
Tigers closer.
Closer in baseball.
Goalie for the Red Wings.
Goalie for the Red Wings and the quarterback
Quarterback of
for
the
Detroit
Lions. It doesn't matter who you are. Stafford could go out and throw 5 touchdowns and 800 yards in a game. Yeah. See, I told you he was good, and then they lose to Jacksonville, and he throws for 400, but no touchdowns and a pick. But that pick happened to be on the last drive of the game, and all of a sudden he's the worst quarterback under the sun.
Yeah.
The fans in Detroit are so hot or cold. I want to say more about them, but I am one of them. I hate on Stafford more than anybody. I'll hate on some Jimmy Howard. I haven't hated on K-Rod actually at all this year, and I'm shocked because normally I hate the closer of the Tigers. This year, I've actually seen the big picture. We've had terrible around us for so long, and terrible has been good enough. In our mind, terrible. For most teams, they'd be happy to get a guy who blows 8 games but gets 35 saves. Yeah. Here in Detroit, that's A-okay. Just like a manager who can't manage a game. Tigers manager is close in hatred. I hated Jim Leland, but he'd win. Just like the Wayne Fonts era.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone hated him because they couldn't win a football game. I'd bend over backwards 11 times and do some dirty things to get that guy back. You kidding me? Yeah, if you could say we're going to win a division every year,
Yeah.
sign me up. Anyways,
That
got a
does
little
come with a
sidetracked.
double-edged sword, though. We were spoiled.
Double-edged sword, what, while bending backwards and stuff? That's,
Yeah. Well, no, as far as the complaints and in our head mediocrity of selected positions across the Detroit sports teams, we were spoiled, and that's the problem. You get certain towns, cities, well, they just got the baseball team, they just got the football team, they just got the hockey team.
We've been
We're very
lucky and
Yeah.
fortunate to have 4 professional teams that compete almost every year.
Yes. Yeah, and unfortunately, when we're not going to take that, and Detroit is a tough sports town, especially for certain positions.
I still say Philadelphia is tougher than us. We've never booed Santa Claus here in Detroit.
We never booed Santa Claus, and we don't beat up rival fans. I mean, that maybe once in, it's,
I do have a
blue
friend
moon.
who sucker punched a Boston Bruins fan. And right before he did it, he said, "You're a long way from Boston."
Oh, well, maybe it's more swept under the rug, but
Sweeping
Barstool
under the rug.
Sports and a bunch of places aren't airing
Oh,
Detroit jumping.
They just do like the burn down buildings and stuff.
Yeah.
Homicide.
Yeah, that's so.
The stuff that doesn't matter.
Say what you want about Detroit. We have kept it pretty uneventful.
Breaking into the newsroom, Michigan cornerback Jeremy Clark out for the year. Torn ACL. Fresh into the wrap-up newsroom. We'll get to Michigan in a little bit, but let's talk back to the sad sorrow at Comerica Park. They're entering their final home series of the year, 4 against the Indians, and Buck Farmer starting the first game of that mess, followed by some youth after Justin Verlander. Matt Boyd on Sunday doesn't even get an out in the first inning. That means his ERA is undefined, if you're a mathematician. And then it's a bullpen by committee. Every time we climb back in it, the bullpen would give up more. You had Pelfrey come in, you had Zimmerman come in, you had Blaine Hardy come in, you even had Anibal Sanchez coming in. It was just a rough game all around, and then some of the players were coping with the loss of Fernandez, which is why Iglesias was not in the starting lineup, came in to pinch hit later, but he was really close with Jose Fernandez. But the point I wanted to get at about the day in sports Sunday in Detroit with the Lions and the Tigers, it was so bad that while both of those games were happening, I was tuned into ESPN watching the World Cup of Hockey, Team Europe against Team Sweden. And Detroit's Tomas Tatar nets 2 goals, including the overtime game winner.
Fantastic.
So, which means he's down for probably 12 goals this year. Because you know what? He's going to score when it doesn't count.
Yeah.
Or we're up by 5 or down by 5. He'll score to pad his stats. But no, what he's done on that third line has been really good. And Barry Melrose has said Franz Nielsen, the best player in that tournament. And he's a really underrated signing for the Detroit Red Wings. I got completely sidetracked because this started Tigers, and now I'm talking about the Red Wings. Cut that, please. Let's go back to Tigers. They're now a game and a half out of the wild card, Dan. Do they make the playoffs or do they not? The good thing is, before you answer that, Toronto and Baltimore play each other this week, and one of those teams has to lose.
Yeah, and I think the bigger question is what's better for the organization. I know that's do they make it or not, but it's this. We had the same conversation with the Wings earlier May, April. Was this 25, 26 years in a row, 25 years in a row that they made the playoffs. That's great. We've had this competition to making the postseason for the Tigers. It really has been stressful, and you never know where it's going to go. But what's better for them just not to make it and just, wipe out the organization and just start from scratch with some whatever. But I think it's important that do they make it? I want to say yes, sloppily, and they just, get knocked out first round. But to me,
here's what's going to happen.
I'm not optimistic if you can't tell.
I don't think they're going to make it. But what would happen, the typical Tiger thing to do, slide in on the last day of the year, and they extend Ausmus's contract and re-sign all their old rotting players to 5-year extensions, because that's the Tiger way.
Yeah.
And what they really should do is clean house. Get rid of Avila. I'm sorry. He's just a spawn of Dave Dombrowski.
Yeah.
get rid of Brad Ausmus. Frankly, he was a guy who you can't light a fire under if he's sitting on fire. I mean, it's just so. Him and Caldwell are the most boring managers or game managers or coaches in sports. You know, the Lions getting shafted like last year in Seattle rings a bell to me when the ball was swatted out of the back of the end zone and a completely illegal play. If that was me, I would not let the game go on until I got an answer. Mm-hmm. And Caldwell was just like, well, we're gonna check the film.
Well,
he doesn't even know what he's coaching.
Yeah.
He thinks it's like beach volleyball, underwater basket weaving. I mean, that guy is just so boring.
Well, what about, it was rubbed in our faces all week as far as teasing the game was last year's game against Green Bay in Detroit. Was it Monday Night Football?
Thursday Night Football.
Thursday Night Football.
When they were going to do that pass it back and forth kind of thing.
And then
the Hail Mary.
The Hail Mary down
with
the field.
The face mask, alleged.
What was the reaction with that?
Caldwell's like, man, well, we're going to check the report. Oh, are you, Jimmy? Jimbo? Jimmy boy? I'll check the report, all right. Check the ratings of the game and see if anyone in Detroit cares. You're done. So are the Tigers. Time to pick some college football. We had a big weekend. State loses. And, Michigan won. Joe Pa knew, by the way. And they did all the victims a solid by catching that dub. Yep. Michigan way, 49-10, covering the spread. Wisconsin comes into Spartan Stadium, mollywopping the Spartans.
Very quiet,
and
very early on.
Sparty fans, I've seen some posts on Facebook, and they're like, well, remember last year when you guys lost to Ohio State and us? Oh, that's weird. When Michigan fans bring up the past, you're always like, oh, we live in the present. We don't live in the past. You guys haven't won anything in years. Oh, that's funny, but now all of a sudden the tables are turning, my good friends. Mm. And you're saying, well, last year you guys lost. You guys did this. You guys said, no, it's you're talking about yourself. And you guys lost. So own it.
Yeah.
Michigan's been bad for the near future, probably the better part of the last 7 to 10 years. We have no choice but to own it.
Yeah.
But little brother over there, scratching himself after that, not bathing for the last week, and all of a sudden he loses. And he's like, well, you guys took my toys last year, and I still beat you. Oh, well, what about this year? You played with your own toys and lost in your own bedroom, in your own game system.
Yep.
You lost to a backup left-handed quarterback whose name is Hornibrook. That's his name. And he goes in and beats you. And all of a sudden it's about what Michigan did last year? Riddle me that, folks. Riddle me that. And I have one Spartan fan in particular who comes up to mine on my Facebook who I just want to crack my computer screen every time I see him post. Yet I still can't unfollow him because it's just so funny and stupid what he posts. I want to. He also, on a clip that I posted to my personal Facebook page about the Little Caesars Arena a few months ago, tried to call me out and say that I didn't know when we said that there was only 2 arenas that were not corporate sponsor anymore. It was Madison Square Garden and Joe Louis Arena. He tried to say, well, the Arizona Coyotes aren't. Oh, I'm sorry, it's owned by a casino. He thought it was named after an actual river. Yeah, we're down at Clinton River Arena. The ice is brown, but we're going to play a game. Oh, okay, I'm going to check the report, Jim Caldwell. Oh, I did, I'm right. That's right. You're wrong. You root for a losing team. I don't. Moving on. Let's make some choices for this week.
But you've acknowledged it when they weren't winning. You
of course.
You complained with the best of them, and you complained that they needed issues or they needed things fixed, and they went out and they made the Jim Harbaugh deal. And this is where they're at today, as opposed to where Michigan State's at. And you do accept it.
Little brothers don't know how to react.
Mom.
They haven't lived enough to know.
Yeah.
When they should, because they've been beaten down most of their young lives. But, they finally got out of puberty, so they thought, yeah. Then you know what they did? They peaked in high school. They've moved on to college now, and they're back to being a nerd. Let's move on. Last week was a good week for myself. Again, beep, beep, toot the horn. 5-1 in our 6 games. Dan, you went 3-3, better than the week before. 9-10 overall, 14-5 overall. But it's a long season.
Yes, it is.
You can come back and knock Daddy down, and it can start right now. First game on the docket. Number 8 Wisconsin comes in to to number 4, Big House, into Ann Arbor, takes on the khaki-wearing Wolverines. Wolverines favored by 10 at home. Who are you taking, Dan?
I got to take Michigan. I want to.
It's Michigan.
Yeah, I'm a Michigan man. Yeah, as far as the spread, I'm not sure. I think it's going to be a lot better game than people are anticipating. It's going to be a real test. Penn State they really have been tested lately, or this season at all, for what it's worth. It's really going to show what Michigan's made of, and this is sort of the turn into the actual season itself and out of that sort of preseason feeling. So yeah, I want to go with Michigan.
Yep, me too. We're going to have to fly through these due to time constraints. So we're not going to break down the games, really. Next, Michigan State at Indiana. Michigan State favored by 8.5. I'm taking Michigan State.
I'll take Michigan State, too.
Stanford, number 7 at Washington, number 10. I'm taking Stanford on the road. Washington favored by 3 in this game.
You know what? I'm going to go with, just to mix it up, I'm going to go with Washington.
Sounds good to me. Moving on. Western Central weekend. At Mount Pleasant, an awful place to live and a worse place to go to school. I'm taking Western in this one. They are undefeated and getting votes in the United States USA Today poll and coaches poll. Still not ranked, but they're right on the doorstep.
Yeah, I think Western's been hot. I got to go with Western also.
Tennessee, number 11, travels to number 25. Georgia, Tennessee on the road. Favored by 3. I'm taking the Vols.
All right, yeah. You know what? Mix it up again. I'm going to take Georgia.
Final game on the docket. The College game day will be there, even though I think they should be in Ann Arbor. Yeah. Number 3, Louisville on the road at number 5, Clemson in ACC showdown. I'm taking Clemson at home, favored by 2.
All right. Well, you know how I feel about that. I love that quarterback in Louisville. Lamar Jackson. So I'm going to go with him. I'm going to go with Louisville. I think they're going to stay strong.
Sounds good.
Don't upset me, please. Please do not drop this for me. I've been propping you up for all of this season. Granted, it's still very early. Don't upset me. Keep it strong. Maybe the Lions will be paying attention to this quarterback, and we'll save that for another episode.
That we will. We'll be right back for a little debate. What's up, man?
Oh, I need a haircut.
I just got mine done today.
Where'd you go?
Went to Rocco's. It's Chesterfield, about a mile east of 94 on 23.
Oh, how much do they charge?
It's $12. You can walk right in anytime. They're just closed on Sundays, I think.
Oh, $12? It might be worth the drive up there.
It really is. We'll go next time.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it.
If ever there's a reason to be swept up in the season of the falling rains, and if the days grew shorter and the darkness drew its order from the autumn gray, I'd rather sit this out and slip the day away instead. But weary eyes a bit too slow indeed.
All right, Dan, you brought this to my attention before we walked in here this morning. Apparently, there's some news out of Auburn Hills. You just enlighten me, please.
Yeah, writer for the Detroit Free Press mentioned that there's whispers, and I believe he has talked with Stan Van Gundy as far as approaching the situation, that a lot of the Pistons do want to make a stand during the national anthem. According to Stan Van Gundy, he goes, it's not my place to say anything. If the player's going to do something, they can do it. So Stan seems to be on board with his players, but then with a good coach like that, what did you expect? But yeah, I don't know. That's about it. We'll see when that comes down the line.
What exactly is this?
As of now, they have mentioned that there is going to be some sort of protest. I use that loosely because I feel that word's being taken out of context, especially what's going on in Charlotte. But with that being said, there will be some sort of demonstration, I think is the better word.
During the national anthem?
During the national anthem, yes.
At the Palace of Auburn Hills?
Correct.
Here in our Tri-County area?
Yes.
Let me just clarify. I am under the understanding players will be doing something, either sitting or kneeling or something, hands up during the national anthem at Pistons games at home.
Yes, possible fists, which is more common than...
So what's happening is now there's a local element to idiocracy happening here. So as if, their freedoms aren't good enough, now it has to come in to the murder mitten. Would mind you, they're, making good money, doing their own thing. Their lives matter just as much as everyone else's. in basketball, the game where you get paid the most to do the least. And apparently that's not good enough to them. Just because, I shouldn't get into this, but I can't turn my back. You know what? I think we should make our own protest of a protest, Dan. Why don't we stand extra tall during the anthem and wear some sort of shirt that says "All Lives Matter"?
Yeah.
The ALM movement started here at the wrap-up in Shelby T, WP. I'm for it. Who's on board? Sign my rundown sheet.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, man, growing up, we were always taught that you just hand over the heart and you didn't say a damn word.
People don't even put their hands on their hearts anymore.
Which-
Nor do they even stand up or take their hat off or stop texting or care, really. They take everything for granted. Oh, well, what happened 300 years ago doesn't matter because I'm here now. They didn't even have phones. They just had wooden teeth. Well, guess what? Those
Yeah.
teeth chiseling founding fathers set the stage for you, and they are now the ones, in all honesty, allowing you to sit or kneel or speak your mind. But I think there's a better way for it, and I mean, I don't want to get into this again. I'll just get more angry, but there's a better way to do it that I think won't affect the history of our country, and I think it'll make a lot more people less angry. I'm not going to say happy, but I think all parties can come together a little bit on this one and find a little bit of a middle ground. I think it should happen. There's definitely a problem, but the way it's happening is just really, to me.
Way it's trying to be resolved.
And Colin Kaepernick, mind you, got more words for him. He is just so far out of the loop on everything that he just, I think, wants some attention. He can't even start in the worst football town ever to a guy named Blaine Gabbert, and all of a sudden he's going to, I'm fading out of the limelight. I'm just going to sit down during this and hope it sticks. Oh, guess what? Good for you, it did. Your passes couldn't stick to receivers' hands or even hit them in the hands, but now you're going to do some protest and all of a sudden it's going to stick and you're going to be the hero of all. No, you're not. Your own people won't even accept you. And now all of a sudden you're this hit success. There's a better way to do it. I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah. Do we have a problem with this going on?
Yes.
We do. We also have a problem. How many miles away is Flint from Shelby, the Macomb area? We've got a big problem there. We can't even get
But no
clean.
one cares about that. How about instead of buying water, you sit down when the water guy comes around and boycott that? No one cares about that. People are drinking that water. People are dying. People are getting birth defects. No one cares. All of a sudden, that's not a problem anymore.
Yeah, a local reporter actually went up there to follow up with what was happening, and he used the water as far as the shower. He drank
He got sick.
He brushed his teeth, and he got sick. And yet they're still telling them, you know what, you're fine. Just boil it. Throw this filter on there. It's going to be fine. Poor Flint. I think we have more of an issue there. We have our own people that can't drink water, a basic need, and they can't drink water. But we are catering. You know, we are the powerhouse of the United States, and we do have to help other unfortunate countries. A lot of these countries who don't even have roads have better drinking water than our people.
Hey,
at
whoa,
Flint.
whoa,
right.
Dan, you're trying to say we have roads here? Let's be. Whoa, hey.
You know, I mean,
I'd
aside from
rather
Michigan.
drive in those roads
Yeah.
wherever the third world country
But
is.
that's just, I mean, you and I, a couple months ago, we did the 22-day push-up challenge for our veterans. You know, vets by the
How about
between
veteran
the age
lives
of
matter?
18 and 30 are twice as likely to be homeless after serving. That's an issue. 50% of vets who return from war, 50% of them have mental issues. That's an issue. 93% of black homicide is black on black crime. That's an issue. But I don't think it needs to be taken or thrown in spotlight by denouncing. You have a family member, you have a relative who makes you mad. They're not doing something right. Do you cut them out and ignore them completely? No, you confront them, but you don't crap on their name.
Yep, that's right. You don't. We're out of time. However, food for thought to think about. For the homies, we'll do this. Pour some out for them. Think about them, those we've lost. Have a great day. Hopefully, Detroit sports wakes up. Dan Myers, Nick Buckler. See ya.